In this video, we'll be understanding about the file system in Node.js, or we'll explore the different functions which are present or which are wrapped inside the file system of Node.js. Talking about file system in any of the backend development, they play a very crucial role. Like you're going to deal with files like PDFs, images, audio files, video files, because maybe you are transferring file from one server to another. Maybe you're modifying a file, like you're creating files like generating invoices and all, and maybe you're generating some graphs and sending it as a report via email, and maybe you're processing some audio files, removing the noise in between them. Maybe you're processing some video files, or maybe you're streaming some video or audio files, right? So there are hell lot of applications of files, and basically file is nothing but the data written in different format, right? So each of the programming languages, right from C++, they have this file system handling in their own way. The same way Node.js also treats file system to be very important, because it's kind of IO operation. You write input and output, right? So Node.js file system is a very good to explore, because you have a lot of functions which help you deal with folders, creating folders, deleting files, creating files, understanding files, descriptors, etc. So we'll see each of them in very detail. We'll try to explore the entire file system of Node.js, and yeah, let's get started with our code, right? Let me create a new file, FileSystem.js. Right here, we'll have all the file system related functions. So first and foremost thing is you import the core file system module of Node.js. So it is not installed the dependency, it is inbuilt Node.js dependency. So if you see here, there are a lot of functions, a lot of code which has been written for all the file system and different events, readable, writable. So we'll understand what are events also. So file system has its own event-based mechanism, because JavaScript is an event-oriented programming, right? And event-driven programming. So let's start exploring them. So first, for any of the thing, mainly in the file system, we have three types of, or maybe two types of functions. One is asynchronous functions. So each function, like let's say you want to write to a file, you want to read a file, you want to delete a file, you want to check if it is a directory or a file. For any type of functions, you have synchronous functions and asynchronous functions. So basically, asynchronous are non-blocking the main thread, so they won't block the main thread. So callback pattern. Synchronous, as the name says, it's a blocking the main thread, right? So we'll try to learn a new way, that is converting the asynchronous functions to, or asynchronous callback functions to promises, because that's what the new type of styling, right? New style of coding. So we'll see all of this in detail, right? So now we have different types of functions. First, we'll look at one of the basic function, right? Open. So see, when you're typing open, you got open sync, open directory sync. So see, for every type of function, open is an asynchronous function and open sync is a synchronous function. So first we'll see what is open function. So basically it opens a file and gives us a reference. So whenever you want to write onto a file, modify a file, delete a file, first you take permission from the OS that I want to do something on this. So you mention the path of the file as the first argument. So here I'm getting access to fs.open docs.txt. So I'm touching this file, right? And then second argument is going to be a flag. Second argument is going to be a flag. So we have different types of flags, and in different types of flags, different modes or different kinds of file descriptors are available to us, right? So the third argument is a callback function, which has two arguments, error, comma, file descriptor. So this file descriptor is basically the reference. So maybe right now you are opening the file and then you will write to that file, or you will modify that file, append it to that file, or you will read that file, right? So whatever you do, this is a reference, because after reading the file, you are kind of like opening a pipe to the file, and then you have to close it, right? Because that open means data will flow out. So we need to understand these flags now. So what are the different types of flags available to us? First one is R, then we have R plus, then we have W plus, then we have A, and then we have A plus. So first one is, we'll see. So first I'll give simple R and I'll write the function. If error, then console.error. So if any error comes in this callback function, console.log error, error in opening the file, and then I'll return. Otherwise, console.log reference to the file received is, it will be a number. So if you see, FD is a number of type number. Now when I run this code, since it is an asynchronous mode of execution, right? When I run this code, node file system JS, see, first the bottom line executed, because as soon as Node.js sees this, it pushes the callback into callback queue, and the main thread is ready to occupy more work, and hence it executed this console.log, and then the reference to the file received is 21. So this reference we are going to use later stages for maybe as a reference, like whenever you want to access that file or talk to that file, this reference is going to be helpful to us, right? Now what is R mode, right? So let's say I'll do some random file which is not present, and the path here I'm giving is relative path. It means it is going to check in the current directory. You can give the full path as well, then it will go to that file. Here I am giving a relative path. So in the R mode, when I'm trying to do this, when I'm trying to open a file which is not present, then what will happen? It says no such file or directory, error in opening the file. So it entered the catch block. So in R mode, file is opened in read only mode, and second point is it doesn't create file if not exist. This is R mode. In the R plus mode, file is opened in read/write mode. It also doesn't create if file does not exist, right? And in the W plus mode, file is open in read/write mode, but the thing is you can write at the beginning of the file. So every time you open the file and start writing to it, the data will be appended in the front, in the starting of the file, at the beginning of the file, and it creates file if does not exist. So if it creates file if it does not exist, we'll see everything. And same way, A plus A, it creates it, file is open, file is open in append only mode, in, or what do I say, it's is open in write mode and append mode. It means when you write, the data goes at the end of file, or it is appended to the existing content. It creates file if does not exist. Same way, A plus mode, file is open in read-write mode. So both reading and writing, here only writing, so you cannot read the file. Read-write mode and append mode, and remaining all same. When you write, the data goes at the end of file. It creates file if does not exist. So see, these are the different stages of fs open, or different flags which indicate. So if I simply say r plus and try to open it, it says random file, it cannot be present. But here it allows us to write to the file. It allows us to write to the file. And in W plus mode, when I open it in W plus mode, see, it created that random file which was not present. So see, created that random file which was not present. Let me delete again and let me execute it again. See, random file is created as the name says. And in A mode also the same thing. But here it is opened only for writing purposes, and in A plus also the same thing. So first let's write some data onto this file, right? We will do in R mode, okay? In R mode, and I am reading some text. Hey, welcome to Code Sapiens, right? Welcome to Code Sapiens. Now I have opened my file. First thing, after opening the file, I want to read it. fs.read, fs.read. So see, after opening the file, you have to give the FD, or the reference to which file you want to read. FD, comma, you are getting some buffer. So what is this buffer? Let's see that. fs.read. One second, what is this? Yeah, let me get out of this. So fs.read, basically it takes buffer, offset, length, and a callback value, right? So what is this? Let's explore that. So basically, buffer is a type of object or a type of data entity which stores some value in it. Okay, so it's like a constructor or anything. So before even reading the file, right, what you can do is, there is another function in the same fs module which is called a stat. It gives all the statistics. It gives all the statistics of the file, like what is the type of file, what is the size of the file, and all of that. Let's see that. What is it, right? fs.stat constant. Let me add this file path as a variable, right? And then I'll supply it from here. And fs.stat. Here fs.stat is gonna take first one as argument, file path, and second, this is going to give us a callback function with first object as error, and then the stats, actual stats. So let's look into the stats. What is the stats object? So see, one callback, inside one callback I am doing another callback now. So that's what callback hell is. If error, let me add the same log. Error in finding the stats. And if I do console.log stats, right? If I do console.log stats, see, path is not defined. Yeah, I have to do it file path. Yes, now I'll run it. See the stats, whatever stats which I have taken. So it gave me lot of values, right? So birth time, when was this file created, uh, modified time, created time, birth time milliseconds in milliseconds, and size of this, right? What is the size of the file? So if I add more data, let me add it. Delete first. I'll delete both of this, and let me add more data. Maybe I'll add the same data here. Some random data we can add, right? Yes. Oh God. Oh, it was reading something else. It was reading something else. We need to change it to docs.txt. Yes, perfect. Now we have some content in it. Now when you see, the size is 28. Size is 28. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and spaces. So size is 28. It means the character. So it gives basically all the information and some few of the other information, and link UID, GID, right? Now stats is one such function you can use to determine the stats of it. And now what I'll do is I'll try to read this file in the read mode. Okay, I'll try to read this file in the read mode. So read mode takes FD, and second argument as Node.js buffer. So constant buffer is equal to new buffer, and this is of size. So see how much buffer it should hold, right? Stats dot size. It is saying use buffer dot from. Byte offset. Yeah, buffer dot from, and let me add buffer, and offset is 0 from where I have to read the file, and length is stats dot size, right? I'm inside the callback. I have to be inside the callback. Perfect. Stats dot size, and here I'm going to get the position. Position is null. I don't want position of the pointer, and then I have the data error, comma, bytes read, bytes, comma, buffer. So this is how I read my file. It's a bit lengthy way. We have the shortest way also. I'll show that, don't worry. But what I'm trying to showcase is, first thing, how do you write your entire file systems and stuff like that, right? So fs.read and all. Now how to capture the data which is there in the file, right? So now let's try to read the data from the file, right? So for that I have to define a buffer, or basically I have to allocate some memory to it. So I'll allocate. So buffer is nothing but like a container which stores and the data in it. Okay. So stats.size, I am taking a buffer of size the same as file, and then if bytes is greater than 0, then what I'll do is console.log buffer dot buffer dot slice, comma 0 to length of bytes, then to string. So this is how I read my file, and when I run this code now, I'm just running this code. See, hey, welcome to the Code Sapien. So bytes here basically contains, or I'm filling the buffer with my bytes and then converting it into a string, to read my file. So this is how you generally read a file in a very difficult way. I'll show you the easiest way which Node.js has exposed to us. But what here I want to showcase is that, see, one callback inside another callback, one callback inside another callback, all of this nonsense has to be there, right? So one thing is you can simply avoid it. And second thing, if I try to open it in A mode, right? A mode doesn't allow us to read. So now when I run this code, see, it didn't allow me to read only, right? When I open it in R plus mode, right? Welcome to Code Sapient. So in A mode, you cannot read the file. It is only write mode and append mode. And in other modes, it is writing mode. So we'll see how to write to a file right now in different types of modes. So whenever you want to write to a file, right? Whenever you want to write to a file, first let me, after reading, let me add a console read file, right? And if error console.log error in reading the file, right? And I will return from here. Okay, so basically bytes, when the file is empty only, then only we print this, right? Now I'm writing to the file. So first I'll write in R plus mode where the file is not existent, right? fs dot write. So in write, or in whenever you want to write, you create a new buffer and you want to buffer dot from whatever data you want to write, you mention it over here like this. Hey, I am writing this data from my file, from my Node.js script, right? So now the same thing, fs.write takes ft, first the file reference, then the buffer, then the what is this, callback function, callback. First argument is always going to be error and second argument is buffer, right? Now when you are writing to the file, so you have already provided the buffer. So see, fs.write is going to take 3 arguments, or see, the callback basically gives us this, right? Now if I do the same thing, error in writing the file, and console.log this data, and when I run this file now, in which mode I am running this? In R plus mode, right? Some error, reference error, cannot access buffer before initialization. So it is saying buffer cannot be accessed before initialization, right? This is because these two are now kind of contradicting, right? So first thing, new buffer.from, and the second thing is cannot access buffer. Where is this read file buffer? It is throwing error at the read file. Oh, let me just check. So this code becomes very confusing since because of this all callbacks. We'll simply convert it to a simpler one. It is because this buffer and this buffer are kind of overriding. So let me plug this read and write to separate outside, and I'll rename this as buffer write, and then I can send that buffer to the write. Okay, and then if I do the write file and if I execute the code, bytes is not defined. Yeah, this is not present to us. right? Or basically I can take the bytes as well, and when I run this, see, write file, I am writing this data from my Node.js script, and when I open my code, see, I could see that data has been written. So let me clear the data again. So this is what I have with me, and now I am running my code. So see, whatever I wanted to write from there, this has been written over here, right? So now in different modes, if I open it in W plus mode, and then write it, so see, the previous content has been completely removed and we have created only the data. So the pointer always starts from the beginning. So let me do the undo and run it in different mode, that is A mode. In the A mode, what it is saying, bad file descriptor, error in reading the file. Yeah, so we cannot read in A mode basically. And when I run the file in A plus mode, it appends to the data. So that's it. So these are the different types of modes wherein you create and write to files in Node.js. Right, now let us clean up this code. Okay, so first way, whatever we are trying to do here, we'll do it in a different fashion. First, constant fd is equal to fs dot open sync. See, directly path comma whatever mode you want to do, r plus. Now I got fd, right? Then you want to read the stats. Constant stats is equal to stats, fs dot stats, and then I have to give the file path, both places, file path. Now I want to read a file, fs dot read file. Here it takes the path directly. I don't need a file descriptor or anything. File path, and here I can directly say read file sync. I don't need any of this nonsense anymore. fs dot read file sync, constant data is equal to fs dot read file sync, and it basically returns some data to us which is in the form of buffer. Okay, that's it. So I'll remove all of this just to read a file, and if I do the console.log comma data, see, file is not defined, file path docs.txt. So here I got some buffer. Buffer means it's small amount of data. Now when I do toString, buffer.toString gives me the data. And the one thing which you have to notice is here this is a blocking code. It blocks the main thread and it reads the data. So however how much lengthy the code is, reading the file is very simple using this type of functions in Node.js, but it is blocking operation. The same way, write file sync. So whatever nonsense we have done with all the buffer and all, now it is going to be very simple. Docs.txt, and here you just have to type data. So hello, this is the fastest way of writing the data to file, fs.write file sync. See, that's it. And if you open here, hello, this is the fastest way of writing the data to the file. So these are the different types of ways you interact with the files, or writing to files or reading to the files. And you have seen the write file and read file, right? In the same way, if you want to convert any inbuilt function to promises, then you can simply do fs.open, or you can write constant open file is a function. This function is going to take same arguments like path, comma mode, and in here you would return a promise, return a new promise, which is going to be either resolved or rejected, right? So promise function, and yeah, so now whatever you want to do, fs.path, comma mode, comma function error, comma ft. So this is another style of writing where if error is occurred, then you reject with the error, and else you resolve with ft. Now this is a main function. This is an open file function. So basically you can write all such wrappers around your callback functions and simply do ft is equal to await of open file where the path is docs.text and mode is r plus, and I have to make this function async, and then console.log ft. So this is, so I'll write all such wrappers in one file over here, maybe wrappers of file system, and then I can convert any callback functions to the normal execution of promises. And when I run this function now, see 21, perfect, right? So this is how you convert any Node.js function, so any callback pattern, to promises by following this. You return, and whenever the callback is there, it's going to work like this. In the same way, you can do it for read file, or you can do it for stats. Get file stats is equal to function path and return new promise, resolve, comma reject, and here it's going to be fs.stats. So the advantage over here is when you do all such wrappers all by yourself, and you're writing a code which looks synchronous using async await, but you're running the code in asynchronous fashion. Error, comma stats. So the same thing which we have done here. Instead of ft, we'll set the stats. Now constant stats is equal to await of get file stats of the path, and you can wrap it inside try catch to catch the errors if there is any. Console.log console.error error.stack error.stack. I'm just consoling the stack trace. So this is how you convert any function to a promises. It can be any callback function. You can convert it into a callback function, right? Then let's explore a few of other file system based modules, right? Like creating directories and all stuff like that. Now for working with files, I mean for folders, right? Let me create a new folder, folder for testing, right? Folder for testing, and I'll add the same files which are present over here just for testing. Copy and paste. So folder for testing has this. Now for the open file, you have to give the file, that is fine, but for getting the file states, right, you can give a directory as well. Folders for testing, right? Now after doing console.log stats, we'll see what we are going to get, right? Node file system.js, right? So it has given you some stats, right? Now there are some functions is file. So when I call this, see, it's not a file. There are certain functions on the stats. Let's look into that one as well if possible. fs.stat, and then you have stats, right? So see, is file, is directory, is block device, is character device, is symbolic, is it a, all of this are present, right? So if I do the same thing, is directory, right? Now you can check. So stats also lets us know what type of it is it a file or is it a directory? And if I do stats.name, right, it's undefined. So basically stats.is directory lets us know that if this is a file or if it is a directory, and based on that you can perform some operations on the directory, right? First of all, even on the direct Node.js itself, you have this fs.exist sync. So it checks if a directory is not present or not present. So I can say constant directory dir is equal to, so basically it returns a boolean. So I'll give some random string over here, random, right? Then I'll console.log dir. Then you can see it is false. So whenever you are working with any files or you want to create some file inside the folder for testing, right? Inside folder for testing, I'll if this has been created. Yeah. So whenever you want to do this, what you can do is you can create directory if not exist. So here I'll give the path where I have to create, and this will create me the directory if not exist. So first, if fs.exist sync of path, if the directory exists, then you can say console.log directory already exists, right? Else you will create a new one, fs.mkdir sync. So here you will give the path. So this will create a new directory if it is not present. So see, create directory if not exists, I'll create a new directory Vasudev, and when I run this code, see, Vasudev directory is created. So this is how, using the mkdir sync, you can create a directory if it is present or not present. So see, directory already exists. In the same way, you can read the directory as well. That is fs.read directory sync, or you can use the asynchronous way by read directory async is equal to, it takes the path, right? And we can add a check if fs dot, or we can get the stats of this path first. Constant stats is equal to await of get file stats, and because we are reading a directory, it means first it should be a directory, right? If stats dot is directory returns true, then fs dot read directory, and here see, you will give the path and you will get options which is not needed actually, and then you can take a callback function which gets error and also which gets string of something, right? Let's see, it basically returns the list of files present in that directory, right? Now I want to convert this to a promise, right? So what I can do, return new promise function resolve comma reject I'm just writing or reading it down every time because you will be getting used to it, converting it. fs.read directory, and we can if error, then reject of error, else resolve of files. So now we are checking clearly, like if it is directly, then only read that directory, else reject by throwing an error, new error, provided path is not directory. Then if you see here, constant files is equal to await read directory async. So wantedly I'll give a file docs.txt. Now let's see what's going to happen. So I'll print the entire error object and then I'll run it. So see, okay, await is only valid, so I have to make it async first, and I have to make this also async, or I can remove this async now, it is not needed. Yeah, it's going to return promise. Await read directory. Now when I say, see, provided path is not directory, because we provided a path which is not directory. Now I'll provide a directory actually, and I'll print the console.log files.join. I know files will be an array because here I come to know that string array, right? By files.join by this, and now I don't no longer require this. I'm removing it. Read directory async, and here I'll be giving folders for testing. Now when I run this, see, whatever files are present inside this folder.txt all got printed, right? All got printed. So that's how you read a directory, you write it, you create a directory, you create a file in different formats, you check if the directory is present or not, and how you convert the file system modules, I mean asynchronous callback pattern to promises. It is what we have seen in different ways in the Node.js file system module, right? So that's all about files. I don't think we have missed anything. Yes, there are a lot of functions inside the fs module. If you see fs dot rename, you can rename a file or folder like this old path, and it takes new path, and whenever it is done you can rename it. And you have copy file, and you have copy file sync, so you can copy files from one path to another. And you have a lot of functions actually. You can explore all of this. You can start a stream, you can append to a file, append file sync, then you can change the permissions using the chmod. Then you have close, copy file, copy sync, create read stream. So many functions over here, right? So you can explore all of this. It will be really come in handy whenever you are dealing with files in your backend server, right? That's all in the files.